If you've looked into buying a new or even a used John Deere hood, more than likely you realize the cost is just too expensive to justify it. I mean, you can spend over $1,000 if you get the complete hood. Even a shell is $500–600. Let's get to it. I'll get you a close-up shot here once I get done so you can kind of see how rough I've got this. Go about, 2 to 3 inches outside of it. Make sure you do this on the inside where it won't be seen. Don't do the outside. Alright, after you get that sanded down, I like to take Prep All or Prep Clean as a different brand. Just wipe this down, the wax and grease remover. For the second step, it just helps keep things to make sure they stick really well. Sanded, grease-free surface to work on. But again, this does clean off all the grease. Turn your rag over to a semi-dry spot. Clean, ready to go. I'll show you what I'm going to be using here. It's basically a welder, electric welder. There's some different styles of metal, but you put them in the center here, put the pins in there. When you turn that on, it heats that up. I mean, it'll literally get red hot, and then you force that down into the plastic. Once it's in the plastic, you kind of turn this a little bit, and then let off the trigger, let it set for a second, and then you pull the gun off. I'm gonna take a Sharpie and outline this line. From what I can tell looking at the camera, it's kind of difficult to see it on the video. You don't have to do this, I'm just doing this so it shows up better on video. That way you guys can see right where that crack is at. Alright, so this is what I'm going to be using. And it fits in that little gun, and it's a wavy, it goes over the crack. So you take this and you spread it over the crack. I'll get a couple of them in here and then I'll do a close-up on one of them. They fit in the gun like that. And then don't turn it on until you put it up against the plastic. So you want to set it down on the plastic, kind of cover it so it's about halfway across both sides. Fold this up, tighten up your crack, turn the handle on, make sure it's flat on the plastic, get it so it's bedded about halfway in, let go of the trigger, and then twist it just a little bit. And twisting it like that kind of locks it in that plastic, and then when the plastic hardens again, pull that out. So now you've got a little metal wire that's basically, you go about halfway through the plastic as best you can. Just make sure you don't hold it so long that it goes all the way out the other side. You just want to kind of stick it up in the middle of the plastic. Alright, again, you're just going to set it down on the plastic. Don't pull the trigger until you're ready. Get it squared up. Set it down there. Once you see it start to drop down in there, just lower your pressure a little bit. Let go of the trigger and twist just a little bit. That twisting just helps tighten that crack up just a little bit more. 5–10 seconds. That's really all there is to this. And I usually put one about every ½ inch. We will go back and cut these off. Those will not stay in there like that. We'll cut them off with those little dikes. Alright, that's about all there is to that part of it. Then you take your dikes and you just go through and you snip off all the little heads as close to the plastic as you can. I'm going to go over these with a like a fiberglass resin. You can also put some fiberglass mesh and resin across here. This is where everybody's hands come under and grab it. That's usually why this crack happens in the first place. But that's right where you want to put some reinforcement in it. You just got to be careful. You can see here where it closes down on the mower. You don't want to build this up so much that the hood won't lay flat against the mower. Alright, what I'm going to be using here is a fiberglass repair kit. Now you could do this alone. It's pretty strong. This is originally how I used to fix these hoods, but I found that the little wire staples on top of these is much stronger. This kit comes with everything you need to mix it. The base, the hardener, full directions. I've already taken everything out of the box. It usually comes with a little tray too, but this bottle had leaked. You can see there, and got the tray all sticky. Comes with the cloth, the base resin, the hardener, and a little spreader. All right, if you've ever worked with this stuff, it's pretty liquidy. Box says 1 ounce of base material to 5 to 6 drops of the hardener. I just took a pin, poked a tiny hole in the hardener. I'll do my best to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Use our little mixer to mix it up here as best we can. And what I will do is take a brush. I brought just a chip brush. And I've already cut, as you can see laying there, a little piece of the fiber to put into this. I'll smear some resin on there. And then we'll put the fiber in it and then brush some more of this over the top of it. This kit you can buy it almost anywhere. You can buy it at AutoZone. I know Walmart sells it. Amazon sells it. One of these kits will do 4 or 5 hoods unless you use a lot of it. What I like to do, hang it off the edge here. What I'll do is just take a brush here. Just like a paintbrush or a chip brush. And I'm going to do this in about 3 sections. But I'll smear some of this on here all the way out to the edge. I'm going to show you a trick too to keep these hoods from breaking when I get done here on how you can modify the latch mechanism on the mower itself so that you don't have to pull these so hard to get them up. Alright, once you get that covered there, go ahead and put your cloth down. I take my spreader and kind of force it down into there. Doesn't have to be thick. You're not trying to put this stuff on thick like putty or something. You're just trying to cover everything up. Anyway, once you get that really worked down in there good, take your brush again and just paint this on over the top of this. But this right here will pretty much prevent this hood from ever cracking again. You can take an extra piece of this fiber too. If you got a little extra resin left over when you get to the last piece, this should be pretty well set up by then. You can take another piece of fiberglass, and you see where the hood closes down. You can see the black line there, but you can run a thin piece of fiberglass and the resin all the way across here, and that just helps strengthen that even more. But that's pretty much what we're going to do. Like I said, I'll probably do 2 more, maybe 3 patches, depending on how it lays in there. Cut your cloth before you mix up your resin. Have everything ready to go here. That sets up in about 15 minutes to get hard. Chances anybody really ever looking in here and seeing it anyway is not very likely, but hell, I already got the paint. Just make it look a little bit better. But guys, that's pretty much it for the repair. The hot staples and the fiberglass repair. Like I said in the beginning of the video, you could do one or the other. You don't have to do both. I've used the staples exclusively. Now generally I would only do that like on a side panel repair because this is a functional area where people are reaching in here to pick it up. You're more likely that it's going to crack again if you don't put the extra steps into it. Go ahead and get the center panel put back in it here once it dries, and we'll get it back on the mower. Now for the big reveal. When I put this back on the mower, I will wet sand this whole thing, kind of blend that crack together and polish this thing up, get it looking nice and brand new shiny. But that is a huge improvement on that crack. Never gonna get rid of it totally, but that's a hell of a lot better than it was. Alright guys, what I'm going to do now is shift gears a little bit. I am going to go ahead and wet sand this hood. Start out with some 600 grit sandpaper. I'll finish it up with some 1200. Then I'm going to take a polisher, some heavy cut polish, orange, kind of aggressive wheel. You'll be amazed here when I get done with this how it's going to look. It's going to look brand new compared to buying one brand new for $1,000 or used for $300, $400, $500. It's cost me, I already had the kits and stuff for a lot of this stuff, but I mean, you could do this if you just did the fiberglass for $20, $30. You don't have to polish it, you don't have to do any of that stuff, but you'll be impressed here. Let me get started. Alright, this is after wet sanding. with 600 grit, finished it off with 1200 grit, then go back over it with an aggressive polish and a pretty aggressive polishing wheel. Even though we only fixed the crack on the top, I did obviously polish the entire hood. Alright, as promised here, I'm going to show you a way to prevent these hoods from being damaged in the first place, from somebody reaching underneath here, grab them and they jerk them up, because they're pretty tight. They have these little clips on the side, and what those clips do are catch underneath the hood on a little tab underneath the hood. Take those off, or take one of them off, preferably the one on this side of the mower with the chute, because 9 times out of 10 you're going to get off of the mower on that side. You're going to reach under there and you're going to grab the hood. And if this latch is still on there, you can still grab it on that side and disconnect it. But I'll show you what this is. It's just a little plastic catch. And generally it's on the mower with this point sticking out. And this point catches on the hood. And you have to force the hood past that to get it open. So if you take this off, turn around, put it back on so it's facing the inside of the mower, it keeps that hood from latching on both sides. It'll only latch on the one side. Now, for cutting the grass, driving around your property, pulling trailers, one latch is more than enough to hold this hood down. Now, the only thing I would say is if you're going to put this mower in the back of a truck or on a trailer, I would turn these around or put something to hold the hood down, because if you load this onto a trailer or a truck, air can catch underneath it, it'll flip that hood forward, and it'll break it off. So if you're transporting it, I would have something to latch the hood down, but if you're just everyday using it to cut the grass or around your property, it's not going to hurt a thing. Just turn this around, put it back on. You could take it off, but if you put it back on, that way it's there for the next guy if he ever wants to turn it around the way it's supposed to be. Just a simple Allen wrench. It's got one bolt, one on each side. But then when you got the hood back on, you've still got this one over here that latches it. And when you get off the mower, you can catch it here, you can catch it here. I'm not a big fan of just grabbing this and picking it up here. That's more than likely what caused this crack to happen on this one. But anyway, we'll get this hood back on here and go from there. Alright, she closes down good. We got our latch flipped around there so it doesn't catch on that side. And you can pick this thing up just gently here. And there you can kind of see what we've got. And you can see how that crack compares to what it looked like before we took this apart too. I hope you've enjoyed the video. It's been fun making it. If you haven't already, subscribe to my channel. Trying to build up a subscription base. I've got a lot of projects I want to work on. A lot of these projects I plan on doing video on and having a lot more stuff to come. So if you enjoyed this video, subscribe, hit the like button. There's the little bell there. Ding that so that when I post a new video, you'll get a notification. Thanks for watching. I always welcome your comments, and I'm very responsive to people that make comments down below. So feel free to make a comment. You like it, you didn't like it, you got suggestions, you got a better idea. I'm more than welcome to the feedback. Thanks, guys.